Hello everybody, welcome back to It's Current Year for another fan submission. Today's submission comes from Coops of the BBB clan. He's up against Schnitzel Visa of LS. Schnitzel has been on the channel a couple of times. I'm not sure about Coops, I don't think Coops has, but yeah, Tomb Kings versus High Elves. A matchup which we've talked about this on the channel before, I think has evened out somewhat recently. Used to be quite horrendous for the Tomb Kings, doesn't feel totally too bad anymore. So yeah, let's have a look at the armies. Schnitzel's gone with a big line of spears up the front, 4 units of spears, 3 units of rangers, 2 units of Loth and Seaguard with shields, which are an interesting pick in this matchup. Be interesting to see how they do. A couple of bolt throwers, so a bit of a not a full sort of castle formation, but definitely putting the range pressure on the Tomb Kings out of the gate. 2 Flamespire Phoenixes, which are quite decent in this matchup. Obviously, they can do some sniping with their obviously the weakness to fire on a lot of prevalent units on the Tomb Kings roster. They also have their barrages. You know, Terror is not really all that much of a factor here, but they also do have the rebirth mechanic. We've got a Fire Mage because, you know, that's what you bring against the Tomb Kings, isn't it? Both the items, so good Winds of Magic regen. Cascading Fire Cloak and Burning Head. No Fireball, which is interesting, but I don't mind it. Cascading Fire Cloak, a very cheap way to spam. Kindle Flame, which is obviously good with the Flamespire Phoenix. And leading the force is Imric, a lord who I bring a lot against the Tomb Kings myself. So he has taken the Star Lance, he's on the horse, and he's also got the Lord of Dragons as well as the Dragon Horn. So an interesting force. I'm not used to seeing this many spears, but alongside the Dragon Horn buffing their melee attack, Spearmen can actually cut through Skeleton Spears and Skeleton Warriors reasonably well. Not to the extent of Rangers, but reasonably well nonetheless. So for the Tomb Kings force up the front, it's a big wall of Skeleton Infantry, Skeleton Warriors, a few Skeleton Spears. We've also got the Kepra Guard and a couple of other units of Tomb Guard as well. So some you know, high value target here, which could really be punished a little bit by Burning Head, so we'll have to see how that goes. We've got a couple of units of Skeleton Horsemen and a unit of Chariots out on this flank. I believe on the other Chariots there are a number of Nehekara Horsemen, just one Nehekara Horseman here. Oh no, another one just tucked in here to the side. And the sort of teeth of this force, we have a unit of Necropolis Knights, not the Hellbid variant, but they do have good stats, obviously with they're being buffed at the moment by the My Will Be Done effect. But yeah, poison, good at killing single entities. They'll have to do a bit of work against the Flamespire Phoenixes. Looks like we've also got a Tomb Prince in here, coming in with the Blade of Setep, as well as Tomb Strike and Guardian and the Curse. So it's probably a pretty expensive Tomb Prince. It's got some good targets, but it'll need to get some work done to justify its cost. And leading the force, holy crap, Grand Hierophant Ketep on a Chariot. Not what you ever really expect to see. Usually when you're taking Ketep, you're taking him in matchups where the casket can be relevant, but the Lich Staff obviously can shut the magic phase down for your opponent. He's gone with Incantation of Cursed Blades and Incantation of Protection, as well as the Sandstorm just bound ability that he gets, and Arcane Conduit. So very spammable. You see the Lich Staff, I believe, is active at the moment with the effect there, because Incantation of Protection, I think, just to protect against some bolt throw shots. Anyway, let's get it playing and let's get into the game. Yeah, so Ketep here is a pretty interesting pick. Worth noting, he is the only legend, or he's only Lord, period, on the Tomb Kings roster that isn't weak to fire, because he's not a mummified Tomb King. He's a Lich Priest, and they don't get embalmed or whatever like that. But in any case, he's not really going to love fighting the Flamespire Phoenixes, just because his stats are pretty garbage. Obviously, he's not really a threatening chariot character to the extent that, you know, Arkan or Cetra can be on their chariots. So we're seeing just some early positioning out of Coops, Nehekara Horsemen, and the Skeleton Horsemen coming out to the rears. Bolt throwers being forced to turn. I think the bolt throwers need to keep shooting the Necropolis Knights, but that is a nice little use of the terrain here. The terrain feature blocking shots potentially. Skeleton Horsemen or Nehekara Horsemen over here are going to be set upon by the Flamespire Phoenix, but wants to be a little bit careful. Doesn't want to get, you know, Coops should be bringing his force past the Flamespire Phoenix here to try and get the mass in, to try and pin it, because the Tomb Prince is definitely going to. Tomb Prince and the Necropolis Knights could make pretty quick work of them. Let's see if the Lich Staff goes down again, because we're getting into sort of Burning Head territory here, as we see the Nehekara Horsemen are going to shut down this bolt thrower very early. Nice play there by Coops. I'd say that might be just about it, because there's another unit of Skeleton Horsemen here to potentially be able to chase them off once they rout. But it looks like that Flame Spire did get up into the air. Might be able to start some bombing runs. Kepler Guard at the moment need to be a little bit careful because they don't have a lot of armor. So, you know, they can be farmed pretty well by just basic archers, in this case Lothern Sea Guard, as we see the Skeleton Warriors here. Oh, I thought that might have been a Tomb Guard. That would have been... Oh, this is probably going to actually not be all that good for the High Elves, actually. I think that's probably cost the High Elves more than the Tomb Kings at the end, right as the Lich Staff went down. So, yeah, Coops was onto that. He was trying to block that from coming down, but not quite able to. Sandstorm will go down here, tear apart a bunch of Lothern Sea Guard. The Necropolis Knights won't take much damage from that as monstrous entities, but the Skeleton Horsemen are getting a little bit beaten up. Doing some bombing runs now, and yeah, the Kepler Guard are very, very weak to fire. They have, obviously, regen, so 20 weakness to fire there, as well as just a basic passive fire weakness. So I'm pretty sure that stacks on one another, and they are very, very weak to fire. So you could probably even get in here. They do regen, so they can regen some models, and they're regenning quite quick, actually, with the Realm of Souls currently active. But the Flamespire Phoenix probably wants to get in here and actually just finish them off, because they can probably actually turn this. Magic attacks on the Rangers, bypassing their physical resistance. They can probably just about grind that out with 51 unit models. Let's see what else is going on. Over here, Imric is getting busy, but he is getting whooped on as well. And the Tomb Prince with the Blade of Setep, or Tomb Strike rather, and the Incantation of Cursed Blades is currently rocking a pretty massive anti-large bonus. Needs to actually get in. It doesn't look like the unit model is actually fighting Imric at the moment. So a lot of those units going, a lot of those abilities going to waste. But Kartep, okay, good awareness there by Coops, pulling Kartep out, and the Necropolis Knights will come back to screen. So nice use of his elements there. The Tomb Prince as well, jumping in, getting a nice hit. And this is actually really dangerous for the Flamespire. Flamespires don't have great mass. There's a lot of mass in here with the Necropolis Knights. Poison, meaning it's slowed. The anti-large of the Tomb Prince. There's a lot of damage going down.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
That's a follower alert. I just got a subscriber. That's nice. While you're doing a cast. Okay, but yeah, this Flamespire is really, really battling. It looks like there's another Sandstorm going down here, so I think we've seen 2 of the Sandstorms now out of Katep. Nice use of that, just freeing up the Necropolis Knights once they've finished off this Flamespire to be able to pull out from the spears. It's rotating, unfortunately, into the Skeleton Spearman. Might be able to take a few ranges with it. As we see, another Burning Head will go down on the Tomb Guard, and this is obviously the risk that you run bringing Tomb Guard and bringing a unit like the Kepler Guard into a faction that's pretty much always going to take a Fire Mage against you. So with that said, there's still a lot of Tomb Guard over here, and as we talked about before, 29 Kepler Guard here. They could have potentially been finished off by the flaming attacks of that Flamespire that did do its initial bombing run on it. Kartep somehow is very healthy. The Tomb Prince, I don't think anyone has landed a hit on the Tomb Prince yet. Yeah, he's lost hardly any HP. And the Necropolis Knights, as we do see some nice bombing runs going down there from Schnitzel. The Necropolis Knights are a little bit beaten up, but they still have 10 unit models, so a lot of their damage output is still intact. They're pulling back now from the spears. I think that's the right option. The Tomb Prince is doing quite well in here. He's fighting in and amongst the Tomb Guard here, so he is getting some support. Rear attack there, unfortunately a bit of bad RNG there for Schnitzel Visa, but yeah, Imric is... he's got a couple of buffs active. Cascading Fire Clerk obviously does make him very hard to hit with 96 melee defense. But again, just no hits in return on the Tomb Prince. This Tomb Prince is just standing tall in the midst of some pretty dangerous foes here. Lothern Sea Guard are going to spend the last of their ammo. I think as soon as the Kepler Guard get anywhere near them, in their bashed up state, they will probably start to flee. Kartep is just bouncing around. He can probably bully this mage reasonably well. We do have a lot of Winds of Magic regen here, and obviously sometimes you do end up with a lot of Winds of Magic in the late game against Katep just because your magic phase is kind of getting shut down. It's quite frustrating at times. But we have one healthy Flamespire, one pretty beaten up Flamespire, but it's safe over here amongst the infantry. A Burning Head about to go down to finish off probably these Tomb Guards. They probably will be put into crumbling and may disintegrate here as their leadership completely tanks. But again, Tomb Prince is really healthy. Kartep is healthy enough. Imric has taken a lot of damage. There's the potential, obviously, for a rebirth on this Flamespire. This Flamespire is healthy, so this game's really still in the balance. There's a lot of high-value elements from both forces. As we see the final Sandstorm about to go down, probably will finish off those Lothern Sea Guard, but they probably weren't a massive factor, to be honest, for the rest of this game. But this is probably where the game will be won and lost, right here in this big pit fight. Necropolis Knights are selling themselves. to buy time, I think, for as we just see an absolute cluster F of business going down in here. The Tomb Prince is getting some really good hits in, and again, no one can hit this Tomb Prince. No one can hit this Tomb Prince at the moment. Tomb Strike and Jaff's Incantation of Cursed Blades going down, so he's got some pretty juiced combat stats at the moment on top of his just natural anti-large. We did get a rebirth down on this Flame Spire, but it has routed. We'll take to the sky and will probably rally quite quickly as its leadership has recovered. He's got a couple of Necropolis Knights here. The Fire Mage is still alive. I think the Tomb Strike may be able to finish off this Flame Spire. It looks like it's going to pull away reasonably well. The last of the Necropolis Knights will go down, and there are still, holy Jesus, there are still 19 Kepler Guard fighting on the ground here, and I think I would be interested to see this this unit's value at the end of the game. So again, Jeff's Incantation of Cursed Blades, that was an overcast, going down to help this Tomb Prince just probably land every single hit. He's starting to take some damage now, and unlike Kartep, the Tomb Prince is weak to fire. There is some good anti-large here. Both rebirths going off. Looks like some nice RNG here for Schnitzel, and this is possibly a way back in. Even though Imric is very, very damaged, might be a Lord of Dragons cast or something like that that can go down here, but one Flame Spire does shatter, and that is massive. That's a lot of hitting power, and the Tomb Prince, you know, with the game he's having at the moment, who knows what he can pull off. Imric is wavering, and Kartep sensing an opportunity to head out here and possibly, I think he could maybe get rid of him in one hit. Yeah, 200 melee, 200 HP left is not probably going to be enough to even stand up to one successful attack, and certainly if the Tomb Prince gets on Imric, he's going to finish him off in one hit here. But the Flame Spire, does miss its charge animation, and Imric's really struggling, and he gets a hit in as he goes past. The Tomb Prince is just having an absolute day out. I don't think he even actually landed that hit. I think it was just the being charged from behind, and possibly a fear causer from behind that has been enough to rout Imric. I'm not sure he's going to come back either. His leadership has stabilised, so he will return. But Tomb Prince now, surely the Flame Spire can finish him off. He probably only needs one or two hits from here, but Tomb Strike will go down, increase his damage output, and turns his back to the Tomb Prince, and that is massive, because I think that allowed an extra couple of hits possibly to go down. Take him back to the air. There's another Burning Head going down. This Fire Mage is definitely going to have racked up some kills by the end of the game. But it all comes down to whether or not Schnitzel at the moment can keep Imric alive so the Lord Loss penalty doesn't potentially end the game, and whether or not this Flame Spire can snipe the Tomb Prince. He does snipe the Tomb Prince. Oh, you hate to see it. Little Horsey going off. It's a Little Horsey that could. And now Kartep, even without the flame weakness, is still not really in a fight here that he wants to be in. There is 700 HP going down here, and the curse, I think, has been activated, which is going to break the Flame Spire, and I think this could be game. I don't think Imric can kill. I think one hit from Kartep here can potentially kill Imric. Yeah, 71 HP. Leadership somehow is holding. He does have the Star Lance active, which does imbue a weakness to fire on whatever you hit, but that's going to be the game. That is going to be the game. Unbelievable. Kartep just pulling out all the moves here, and still the Kepler Guard are alive and regenning. Still 19 of them left since we last checked in, and I can't believe this game's still going, honestly. Yeah, one more hit, potentially, if you can do a bit of a hit and run on Kartep, maybe able to force crumbling. The High Mage is making the right move here. Might have a Cascading Fire Cloak up his sleeve. There we go. There's Cascading Fire Cloak, so that does imbue Kindle Flame, and this is just all on the Flame Spire now. If the Flame Spire breaks, I'm pretty sure the Balance of Power is going to go past the point of any return for the Tomb Kings, and even though they are a regenning unit, the Kepler Guard will continue to break. But I think just the infantry models around them just mucking up the attack animations of the Flame Spire, and with the Flame Spire surely breaking, I feel like that's 3 times that it's broken, but obviously not. Obviously only the second time. The Mage is not going to be loved getting run over by a Chariot character, and that's going to be one of the most ridiculous games of Total War Warhammer I have ever seen. I'm going to leave the Tomb Prince to last, because I'm going to have. I reckon this Tomb Prince is without a doubt got over 3k here. I reckon Kartep, poor man's Arkan. might have got a reasonably good amount here. Yeah, over 2k. It's pretty cheap on the chariot. I don't think he'd probably cost too much more than that. Yeah, we'll save the Tomb Prince for last. So skeleton infantry, obviously, just being used as a bit of a wall. Tomb Guard actually doing okay despite the burning heads. Kepler Guard, I guess they've stayed alive. So yeah, they probably didn't have a lot of really high value targets here, and they were beaten down, so they weren't accruing value very quickly with a lot of attack animations. Skeleton Horsemen are an interesting pick here. I usually like to, if I'm taking Cav besides the Nakar Horsemen, I like the bows. I actually just like the utility that the bows give you. You can still use them as a cycle charger in the rear. So not a lot of value there going down, but I think they did manage to break off the repeater bolt throw crew, so the value's low, but the impact on the game probably higher than that suggests. Nakara Warriors using their mass to pin and actually getting some really good value between them. And decent enough value again at mass blocking and allowing poison for the Prince and stuff like that to wail away on a lot of high value targets in this High Elf list has been big. I think you need to go heavy. I think the Tomb Kings should go heavy into chariots against the High Elves personally. But not a lot of value there. I think they were dead before we even really took stock of what they were up to. But, oh my goodness, that's a game and a half. He has died, so rip Prince Boy, but that is one hell of a game. I feel like he landed every single attack animation, and every single one that came back at him just missed. Yeah, even Imric, and we even saw a couple of recharges from the Phoenixes diving down that couldn't quite hit home. But that is an absolute day out. Had to do some work because obviously with his items and all his abilities, Tomb Princes aren't super cheap, but he's definitely justified his cost there. Imric, 1,000 value is okay, but he struggled a little bit. Not a bad pick here alongside the Spearmen. Like you've seen, still some decent value on these Spearmen, which you don't regularly see, but Dragonhorn puts them up to like 45 or 46 melee attack, which means they actually do cut through even just basic stuff like skeleton spears reasonably well. Their damage output on their weapon strength is still relatively low, but causing fear allows them to stay, they don't suffer from fear penalties if they cause fear. So yeah, I don't mind it. I think it's a little bit heavy on the spears generally, but alongside the Dragonhorn it's fine. Lots of kills and some decent value on the Mage. Rangers doing kind of what Rangers do. They never get massive value, but lots of kills. And holy crap, okay. The Z-Guard having a bit of a day out. That's pretty cool. Both Phoenixes getting their rebirth, which is really massive. This one's had, so they've done a power work. Really good matchup for them. Obviously the mobility and the flaming attacks is relevant. Bolt throwers are a bit of a waste, but in this matchup. But I think they are good in this matchup. Good against Ushabti Great Bows. Good against chariots. Cetronic War Kitty can be shot down by them. So yeah, interesting builds. And an interesting game. So thank you for Coops for sending it in. Bad luck to Schnitzel. He's been on the channel before as a winner, but he tastes defeat today. I'm sure he'll be back with a replay for me soon to make up for it. And thanks to you guys for checking it out. We'll be back with more soon, but until then, take care.